Hi, it's Jessica Sporn, and I'm so excited to share with you a new stencil, Flowers, Pomegranates, and Leaves. So I'm starting off this project just covering a sheet of old music paper with gesso. White gesso, just trying to knock back the music staffs and notes on the page a little bit. So here's the test version of the stencil. And I'm just putting out some different colors, some red for the pomegranates, some blue for the flowers. There are tulips in here, which are actually very biblical flowers. I didn't know that before I designed the stencil. And some green for the leaves. And I've got a very skinny little cosmetic sponge, and I'm just pouncing into the different motifs, trying not to let the colors bleed onto the other ones too much. So here's how it looked when I finished just pouncing. And already it's kind of pretty, don't you think? But no, I have to do more to it. So I am taking out some glazing medium and some of the same colors of paint that I used when I was stenciling. And I'm just filling in the white areas in the motifs. If they get too covered up, I just blot them off with a baby wipe. And this way there's a nice sheer glaze covering all the different motifs from the stencil. So now I'm taking my skinny rigger brush, R-I-G-G-E-R, that's actually the name of the brush, and I'm just very loosely doodling around all the different darks and lights on these motifs. So with each step, as you can see, I'm adding more and more of my individual hand to the stenciled design. And now I'm even going further. I'm doodling outside the areas that I stenciled and adding more and more of my own personal touch to the page. And it's really fun. It could have been an art journal page just like this, but I had in mind that I wanted to make some happy mail, some tags. So this is the Scales stencil from Stencil Girl, and I am just pouncing. You can see I added some blue artist tape to the edges of the stencil just to give myself some more wiggle room. And I'm doing some of the tags with golden fluid acrylics and some of them with Dylusions spray inks. When you use spray inks, it's always good to have a paper towel roll nearby or a piece of paper underneath just to turn your stencil over and blot it. This is a wonderful stencil from Terry Stegmiller of Stencil Girl called Curvy Stems, and I just love it. It's got a real feminine feel to it, and I thought it would be great with the flowers, pomegranates, and leaves. So now I'm just cutting out these motifs that I stenciled. I decided that I wanted to emboss the tags and the motifs. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the embossing and then do the rest of it off camera. So I just took my Versamark stamp pad and pressed it onto the tags. I transferred my UT into this Chinese food takeout container just to make it easier. And then I just love, it's like magic. It gets me every time when you use your heat gun to melt the UT. So I'm using a very sophisticated stamping tool here. It's actually a toothpaste cover, and I really like the size circles that it makes. Now I'm taking my motifs from the stencil. I'm using tacky glue to adhere them to the tags, and because both the tags and the motifs have been embossed, they're a little hard to, they don't want to lay flat. They're a little stubborn. So I use all the different containers on my work table to keep them down. And eventually I prevail. So I'm just gluing them down in ways that are pleasing to me. And then I want to define which of the curvy stems on each tag belong to the flower or motif that I've glued down. So I'm taking my rigger skinny brush again with black fluid acrylic paint, and I'm just outlining the leaves and stem that I want to highlight to note that they belong to the flower, to the specific flower. And where that doesn't quite work, I'm just gluing down some of the leaves as well. I was a little worried that the black acrylic paint, the fluid acrylic paint, might not adhere well to the embossed tags, but it really does. Even though I've let them dry, I can't even scrape the paint off with my fingernail, so it really does make a good bond. I had written out some inspirational words in my own handwriting. I think I'm going to offer them as a free download for signing up for my newsletter, so keep posted for that. And I am just cutting them out. I print them out whenever I need them, and then I just cut them out and glue them down. So I'm just lining up all the tags and looking at them, adding the words where I feel they need to be. I also have some Tim Holtz tiny type words. You can see I have it in my lap here, and I'm adding those as well. And I know it needs something else to just ground them and draw the eye into the focal image. So I pull out my Distress ink in Vintage Photo, and I am adding it to the edges of the tags, and it just draws the eye towards the middle. And to add a little bit more, because I had some black paint still wet on my palette, I put some on my finger, one of my favorite tools, and I'm just going around the edges of the tags with a little thin line of black paint. And then to perk them up a little bit, now that I darkened the edges, I'm adding some white accents in the middles. I hope this video gave you some ideas about how to use the flowers, pomegranates, and leaves stencil. Please share this video if you liked it, and visit me on my blog, jessicasporn.blogspot.com.